There's a lot of construction going on in Solana Beach, so our next guest is here to tell us what it all means. Please welcome from the Guiltinan Group, Ryan White.
And here he is. Can I call you Mr. Solana Beach?
I'll take that.
Okay.
I've been called worse.
Ryan White is here. Lots of construction happening. I live in Del Mar, neighboring beach town, and I've seen it too. Lots of different kinds of construction. A lot of home renovations seem to be going on as well. Can we say this is a good sign?
Well, I think so. I think it's evidence that the real estate market has finally caught up, meaning that there was a point in time when you couldn't build a home for the cost of buying something already constructed. And I think that's evidence that the market had taken a bit of a tank, and now we're coming out of that. There are some bad implications as well. I think at some point it can go off the charts, right? You get too much building and too dense, that becomes a problem. But contractors in general now, they're busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, if we can say it. I mean, I know last time it was seen as kind of a red flag. People say, oh yeah, well, every house on the block is being renovated.
Right.
Because people are doing cash out loans or second mortgages and stuff like that. That's kind of a bad sign. I didn't see it that way at the time. Now I know why people were saying that.
Looking back. Sure.
So I'm just wondering, is that something we should be concerned about this time as well? That we're seeing all this construction, that maybe that's a sign that things have gotten so good that people don't think that bad is possible?
Well, I'd like to think that regulations in lending are a little bit stricter, such that using your home as an ATM and continuing to borrow 100% of the value is not something that is currently allowed. So as long as there's equity in the homeowners generally have options. So the idea of taking all the money out, putting it back in the home, or buying a jet ski and a boat and those kind of things, I believe those days are behind us, at least for the moment. Okay. I think that will probably deregulate even further, and we'll probably creep back to that eventually and probably repeat some of the same mistakes. But at the moment, and the foreseeable future, we're in a marketplace where a lot of construction is going on. The economy is pretty hot, and as you mentioned, Solana Beach is where I live and kind of where I focus. We see a lot of story polls and a lot of pending projects coming because just that. Land is hard to come by, and you can now put in the renovations and sell or be into a home for less than it would cost you to go out and buy.
Interesting. 'Cause that's always been the hard part, right? I mean, it's, looking at appraisals all through the first decade of this millennia was like, it was crazy. You know, cost to build versus what appraised value was.
Sure.
Speaking of regulations, though, there was a regulation recently changed in Solana Beach, the granny flat rule.
Yeah, the granny flat, and if you ever go down to the city hall and ask them, they call it an ADU, or auxiliary dwelling unit, but we call it granny flat. And one of the reasons I think this is important is I believe the builders and contractors of the future will design in something like this in the new homes. The ability for, well, 2 generations is husband, wife, and a kid, right? But 3 generations being grandma, grandpa, husband, wife, and a kid, living home, I believe that to be the house of the future, so to speak. And granny flat is one way of achieving that. And one of the differences is previously Solana Beach was relatively strict with what they would allow. For example, you could not have a granny flat that was bigger than 640 square feet.
Well, that's tough on Granny.
Well, I think Granny could do it, but Grandma and Grandpa can't do it, right? It becomes really difficult. So now they've expanded up to 1,200 square feet, which is really the California regulations.
That's legit.
And that's appropriate amount of space that, well, Grandma and Grandpa are probably downsizing, but still they can both cohabitate in 1,200 square feet, not kill themselves, not kill the rest of the family, and get along and be able to be part of the family unit.
1,200 square feet is quite big.
1,200 square feet is good size, but most grandparents are living in 1,200 square feet or more now. So it is a livable size for 2 people, and that's one of the really distinguishing features of the, I guess we'll call it deregulation.
So because of that rule, if I have a property in Solana Beach, I could potentially build another unit on that property up to 1,200 square feet, is what you're saying?
Yes, the appropriate disclaimer is, of course, there's tons of additional regulations that go along with it, but yes, it is now up to 1,200 square feet, where previously it was 640 square feet. Previously, it also required the unit to be attached. Now you can be either attached or detached, meaning it can be attached to your existing home or not. And the other one that really makes this thing come alive is it can be rented to a non-family member. And again, there are a variety of other regulations associated with doing this, but you can build this unit. Let's say you could build it for $200 a square foot, 1,200 square feet, that's $240,000. Mortgage payment on that is around $1,200. You're not paying for the land because you already have it. You can go rent this thing for $1,200 or more pretty easily and have it pay for itself. And again, there's a variety of other rules. It is far and away not that simple, but it is one of the ways that Solana Beach, and I have to assume other areas in San Diego, are assisting with creating affordable housing.
Well, let's talk, Solana Beach is one of those places where there's only so many doors. I mean, in Solana Beach, not that many. Was there?
6,000.
6,000? Yeah, that's small. So it's nice to think that we could potentially, increase the populace there without having to go up or get, what I mean? So let me ask you as an agent though, is that a smart investment? If I'm, looking at this rule and going, how can I take advantage of it? Is it wise? Do you get the same price per square foot when you have multiple units like that? Do you get a premium for it or not? Like, how does that work?
Well, I can kind of make predictions on what I think would be, but I'll answer your question a little bit differently. I've done it on 2 properties already, and I'm starting on a 3rd to add a granny flat.
In Solana Beach?
In Solana Beach. So I'm doing it now.
Okay,
I got to sign off a month ago, and I'm starting on another one in about 3 months to add this to my projects as I do them. Because I really do believe, and that's what the new buyer, the new family unit, will want in their life.
So that's sort of a response to the boomerang generation, if you will, or the idea that families are starting to nest longer or re-nest together for longer periods of time, which there's a variety of reasons why our people believe that that's happening, but the reality is it's happening, whatever the reasons. So if that's what's desirable, typically desirability, your level of desirability tells you how much your property's worth.
Sure.
How desirable is it? That's how much it's worth. So what you obviously believe, if you're doing this on your own projects, is that they're more desirable and therefore worth more.
They're more desirable, worth more, and even the expansion, what you're adding is a little bit extra plumbing, a little bit extra piping. Should you decide to not use it as a granny flat, it's just an extra room, right? You can always have it as a kid's playroom. In my case, I have built out an attic for my kids to keep all their junk in there, so hopefully it doesn't trickle all the way down through the house, which it does anyway. But it just becomes an extra room with the legal permitted aspect that it can be a standalone unit.
Right.
That usually has kitchen facilities and bathing facilities and sleeping facilities, which is a room.
Okay. And do you think that it's smart for someone who's looking to do something like that? Let's say they might have their own purposes. You're telling me obviously that you believe that the resale element is there and worth it. Is there anything in particular that they should or shouldn't do with these extra units? Like, I think it should definitely have a bathroom and a kitchen, even if it's teeny tiny. But they should definitely have those. Any other do's or don'ts for, we get 1,200 square feet's quite a bit.
Yeah, well, that is where the granny flat exists. It has to have a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchen in order to be a granny flat. If it doesn't have that, it's just a room. But if you are truly designing it for grandma, and in my case, this idea hit home with me because a couple years ago my father passed away, and my mother, who lives up in LA, is now by herself, doing very well, but she may not be up there forever. And giving her the ability of coming back and living with us is an important part. So something that I believe to be important is that it's single level. Putting this thing on top of your garage makes it difficult for grandma to get there, as you can imagine. And in the city of Solana Beach, under 16 feet, anything that's under 16 feet high, you can pretty much do whatever you want. There's no view objections if you're under 16 feet. So keeping it single level for multiple reasons is a big plus. And other big benefits to a granny flat, well, as I mentioned before, the potential rental income. If you decide that you want to go through that effort, it's there.
Yeah. So there you have it then. Now, one more question. As I'm thinking, I'm a Solana Beach homeowner, right? And I'm watching this, and I'm going, that sounds like a good idea. Where do I begin? I mean, do you have contacts, the contractors, the architects, or whatever is needed for someone who might want to go down this road themselves? And obviously, they could talk to you about, hey, how should I structure this to make it valuable, down the road, because everyone wants to make sure they're investing properly in their home. So we can have people get in touch with you for that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
That would be cool. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Brian White,
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Solana Beach. There, you heard it. So the regulations have changed. You can now build granny flats up to 1,200 square feet. That is legit. May want to take advantage of it. And of course, you do definitely want to stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.